Welcome back to Life with Us TV. It's your girl, Lynette.
And it's your boy, Stanley.
All right, in today's video, we're going to talk about what we feel should be the 3 layers of protection that every traveler should have. I call them the trifecta. When I came and I discovered this 3rd layer, because the 1st and the 2nd layer I've always had, but this 3rd layer right here, I feel makes your traveling push you at ease, push your mind at ease when you're traveling, especially as someone that have a general fear of things happening when you're abroad or just traveling in general. I feel like this is the things you should have. The first one is trip interruption insurance. Something that we have talked about on our channel for forever. Preface this by saying we are not insurance brokers.
Nah.
We've done the training.
Not even close.
No, we've done the training enough to go ahead and teach it to you and regurgitate some information. But if you need specific questions answered, then we will leave links down in the description bar that will be able to give you to the actual companies that can give you those answers to your specific questions. You ready? You ready? All right, so that 2nd layer of protection that we're talking about is going to be medical insurance.
Yeah, man.
What kind of medical insurance? We're not talking about if you go to your doctor here in the US, you got to do your little copay, whatever. We're talking about international coverage through a major carrier. I feel everyone should have that. I have had my experiences with that.
And then we're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about it. Then the 3rd thing is this new thing that I discovered. And how did I discover it? Because I follow the money. I follow the who's of the who's. And when you have travel host agencies that use this service, I said, oh yeah, it's legit.
Oh yeah.
And this is a service that if something were to happen to you internationally, and that this could be as close as being in the Bahamas, but if something happens to you, you're able to get back to the US without that hefty price tag hanging over your head because you've already bought into a system that guarantees to get you home to a hospital of your preference or back to your home. You ready to get into it? I know that was a lot. Let go.
Yes, indeed, man. You definitely broke it down right there, babe. So, yeah, the first thing I think we should talk about is definitely the annual travel insurance. We've had this annual travel insurance for 3 years now. And it's actually through Travel Insured.
And what it's tried and true.
And what I love about it that we only paid $188 for the both of us. So it was $94 a piece, and it actually covers all of our trips for 1 year. Not just one trip, every trip. Last year we took 13 trips.
And all of them were covered for $94 per
so I took that 188 and divided it by the 13. So that ended up being like $14, $15 for trip protection on our trips last year.
Also, just preface by saying at this time, let's date this video. In February of 2026, this is the price. And for children under the age of 18 is $64. For everyone except for y'all in New York. And y'all in Hawaii. But if you need any coverage and you are in those states, or you want something that's a little bit more comprehensive, then we also offer Allianz insurance as well, which is a little bit more expensive, a little bit more detailed. But the reason that Travel Insured is much cheaper than Allianz is because Travel Insured is like this base blanket of travel protection. And then once you get into the system where you start adding your individual trips, you can start to add components onto it that maybe you feel like you may need. For instance, when we went to Europe last year, I upped the insurance by double. I upped the insurance on our tech that we were going to be taking with us as well, because I feel that for that expensive trip, I need way more coverage. So when it comes to Allianz, they basically throw the top notch of coverage in that one package, and that may not be what everybody needs for each of their individual trips, if that makes sense. So that's why we selected Travel Insured.
And definitely last year we definitely had to use this protection Because we had several incidents, and we definitely never want to wish like nothing happening to anybody on trips. But of course, when you start to travel 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year, you definitely open yourself up to more risk. I think about one instance where American Airlines canceled our flight home from Charlotte. And they said they wasn't going to cover anything because of the weather. So it was an act of nature. Y'all are on your own. So we had to end up paying for our hotel, our meals. We had to end up paying for the Uber ride to get there. And then the next day, we had to pay for Uber ride to take us all the way from Norfolk to Richmond because the flight that they was going to give us was going to be like way later on the next day. And we was like, nah, we need to get home tomorrow.
No, it was in the next week.
Next week,
So we opted to fly into a neighboring city. And then Ubering back to our vehicle at the other airport. So by the time that finished, we were $700 in deep. $700 for one instance of an act of nature.
Yes.
And if we did not have this travel insurance, all of that would have been on our head. All of that would have been out of pocket. And it also would have done another thing for us. Because we had the travel insurance, it put us at a peace of mind that we did not have to do bare bones when it came to where we laid our head at that night, what way that we got back to our car. Because if we were paying for that out of pocket, we probably would have stayed in a Motel 6. That's a lie. But
I'm ready to say,
we wouldn't have stayed where we stayed.
No.
It would have been a little bit more basic accommodations, and we probably would have rented a car. But because we knew we were getting the money back, oh no, I'm gonna get back in ease.
Yes, indeed. And definitely, if you are interested and want to get travel insured, there is a link down in the description that you can click up, and Lynette can get you booked. Or if not, go to Google and type travel insured and go on there and get it booked yourself. Either way, we recommend that you get it. But before we move on to the second trifecta, let's kind of talk a little bit more about what it protect as far as cost wise.
We have to look down for this one.
So Lynette already told you about the trip interruption, the trip cancellation, but also trip delays. So you get up to $200 a day, max $5,000 a day for trip delays. They will give you so like you miss your cruise. They give you up to $500 for emergency medical is up to $100,000. Dental is up to $750. My bad. For emergency medical evacuation, up to $100,000. But you can upgrade that up to $400,000.
So remember what I said, you can upgrade different components of your trip depending on what you feel those individual needs are. Just up it and pay the difference.
Yes, indeed. So we looking at for like a natural disaster evacuation up to $150,000. We looking at for baggage. So that's baggage delays, and that definitely can happen on a trip. That's gonna happen to us before coming and going. So they'll cover you your bags for up to $2,500, and for baggage delays, they will cover up to $750. And then, of course, like the Queen said, there's optional add-ons for like rental cars, single supplements, and other things to make traveling more convenient.
Now, granted, this is the package that we have. Yours could be a little slightly different. So also, we go into this saying, read the policy. Look over the policy.
Please.
And if you're not completely sure what all of the language is, or what, like I said, call the 1-800 number. They are there to answer the questions, but if you need somebody to just spit it out to you in layman's terms, ChatGPT is wonderful. Take the document, add it into ChatGPT, says spill it out, and ask it, do you think this is enough coverage? Do you think it's not enough coverage? You can always add those components on within your individual trips with this annual plan. And before did I say this? I don't know. But if I didn't, whatever. But one of the other reasons we enjoy a annual plan is because it covers all of the components of the trip. Not just if I bought a policy when I added my cruise, I added on their protection plan.
Yeah.
That's only going to mess around with that cruise.
Yeah.
Something happens with the cruise, okay, that's going to kick in. But with this plan, it's every component of the flights. If you're going by train, if you're renting a car,
and
the hotel stay, it's covering you all the way around. And another thing that I want to talk about before it misses my brain is a lot of people have asked, okay, well, what about the coverage on my credit cards? Read the fine print.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it is such a diluted amount of coverage that you may get into a sticky situation if you ever needed something really major to be done. Like if you really needed something covered.
All right, but let's keep in mind that, of course, with every insurance policy, there is exclusions because there is such thing as scammers. So they is not going to let you scam. So you try to do anything illegal to get yourself covered. If there's like hurricanes or pre-known stuff, you know what's going to happen.
And you just buy the policy because you think it's going to get covered. No.
Yeah, it's going to cover you, things like that. Also, they got on here like extreme activities. You decide that you want to race and climb stuff and go 9,000 feet in the air. You know, crazy stuff that you can die from.
They said, no, you on your own, bro.
Yeah, so things like that. So like the Queen said, definitely check the policy. It'll be all written out in there.
Yeah.
But we thought you should also know that. But the most important thing is we want, when you travel, to have a peace of mind that if anything happens, you're going to be straight.
Yeah. That was a question that we asked on our lives. Shout out to our lives. If you don't know, we go live most Thursdays. I'm not going to say every Thursday, but most Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah,
man. And that was a question we posed to a lot of people. Do you have a fear of something happening to you when you're on a cruise or your resort vacations or if you're traveling abroad? And most of our people said, heck yes.
Yeah.
And who had that fear? Me.
Yeah.
We will talk about the fact that I've had to use this in a capacity of having to go to a foreign hospital in Europe. We're going to talk about it a little later. But the next thing that we want to talk about is...
But before you move right there, so we did poll on the live. So I would like to know in this video, do you fear something happened to you? Like the Queen said, put that down in the chat. And hopefully this gave you a peace of mind. But if that's you, please put that down in the comments.
Yes.
If you fear something happened to you when you're traveling.
And also, if you are using any of these policies, just know that these are secondary policies. What does that mean? For the travel insured or the Allianz, you're going to need to pay money up front to cover whatever happens to you and then wait for a reimbursement.
Yeah.
So my recommendation would be is to always travel with a credit card that has enough leeway on it so that anything happens, you're pretty much covered. I will tell you this. Because we have gone to Europe a couple of times, just know that even major hospitals usually don't take Amex.
Yeah.
So make sure that you have a Visa or a MasterCard that has a great balance, available credit on it, so that if you have a $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 bill that you have to wait to get reimbursed for, you're not sitting there trying to figure out like, are they gonna keep me? Like, what is going on here? So the next thing we want to talk about is medical insurance.
Yeah, man.
And the reason that I even looked into this is because I'm such a reader and I'm a person that likes to dissect things. And once I looked over the coverages of the annual plan or any insurance for that matter, when it comes to trip protection, the thing that stuck out to me the most is they're gonna do the basic amount of care and the basic amount of coverage, just enough to basically patch you up and get you back home and send you back home, because this is trip protection.
Yeah.
This isn't medical coverage. So what I'm thinking about when I bought this was I need something that if there is something a little bit more extensive happening in my travels and I need to be well-rounded and taken care of from a broad perspective, I don't want a fight to be with my trip insurance.
Yeah.
I want to have specific medical insurance that's going to take care of me, and I have had to use it.
Yes. Yep. Last year.
Do we want to go into that? We wait until the last.
Yeah, go ahead and go into that. Yeah, because you had to use it when we was in Greece.
Yes. So I had an incident in Greece where my previous doctor prescribed me a medication that I had an adverse reaction to, and I fainted.
Yeah.
In Europe, I fainted on the cruise ship. So not only did I have to go to cruise ship medical, basically almost spend the night at medical there.
Yeah.
So I had a big bill from Virgin Voyages when I got off the ship, and then because they weren't completely sure that nothing else was going on with me, they recommended that I go to the hospital once we got in port at a different location. So once we got into what was it, Rhodes, Greece?
Yeah, Rhodes.
Rhodes, Greece, or Rohedes, as they would say. They whisked me away. They were amazing. I will say this. They got the transportation set up and they whisked me to a Greece hospital where I then had to spend at least 7 hours.
It was a long
trying to get
time.
all of the testing done, all of the CT scans. And when I tell you them, listen.
So they got you from the rooter to the tutor?
They got me from the rooter to the tutor. I said, the U.S. would never. When I tell you, they checked me so thorough that I was like, what they gonna do with all of this? Like, I was starting to question, what are you gonna do with all of this blood and all of the different tests that you did on me? But I felt secure. I felt good. I felt taken care of. I felt seen. I felt covered.
Yeah.
But again, you have to pay this money up front if you're not using a covered hospital. Now, if I had went through the 800 number and who I use is Blue Cross, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, couldn't get it out. Shield, Geo, Blue. God, that's a lot to say. If I had went through the steps and went ahead and said, oh, okay, this is what I need, they could have coordinated with me, and then they could have coordinated with the hospital, and they could have did direct pay. That is also an option. But because I knew I had enough coverage on my credit card, I just let them take me to the nearest hospital where I had to pay out of pocket. So with medical insurance, you do have that choice where they can direct pay for a covered hospital, or you can pay out of pocket and wait for reimbursement. And in this case, this is what I chose. But they got everything taken care of. They sent me home with the packet. They had a patient advocate that was there for all of the foreign patients, which I was, who took care of me, made sure that they were there to translate anything that may have been missed by communication. And I went back to the ship, and once I got home, I sent all of it in, and next thing I know, I got a check for the amount of money that I spent.
You know what? When you said that, I was foreign. We don't ever in the United States consider ourselves foreign.
That's true.
We consider about everybody else foreign, but when we in another country,
we're foreign.
We're foreign. Yeah.
We're foreign to them. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had to have an ambassador.
Yeah.
A foreign ambassador as my advocate while I was at the hospital.
But the most important thing, let's talk about this. So when she went to the medic, it was $400 right out the gate.
To even be seen.
And then after that,
this is on the ship.
Yeah, this is just the ship part. So $400 to get in. And then after the final bill came, it was like over like $1,400 that we had to pay. And then once we got the final bill at the hospital, because at the hospital we
separate bill.
It was over $2,000, and we had to pay that right then and there when we was there. So you're looking at over $3,000 that we had to pay because the queen fainted when we was on the ship
due to
and she was
adverse
fine.
reaction.
And she was fine, and this out the blue when that happened was like, whoa. But we were so glad that we had this insurance, because if not. We already told you that we spent $700 when we got stranded in Charlotte.
Yes.
And now we had to spend another over $3,000 when we was in Greece.
And that's not the first time that we've used. Because we've had equipment being replaced. Stanley has killed a couple of phones and DJIs on vacation. And guess what? Because we were on vacation and it's a part of our trip protection, Sent it in and it was covered.
Yep.
With this particular trip that we're talking about with Greece, when I had my incident, so what I decided to do was to split the claims. So when Virgin Voyages slipped that bill under my door that said confidential, I did that through Travel Insured. I sent all of that in because I was like, I passed out on the ship, all of this. But once I went to the hospital, I said, let me go ahead and claim this under straight medical. And it worked out beautifully.
Yeah, it did.
Let's talk about the coverage. I got to look down at my paper because at this age, we're not remembering things that we can look down and look up. All right, so it basically covers the major things. So emergency, accident, medical coverage, hospital stays, physician services. So just say you're on a cruise and you get off in the Bahamas and you just not feeling right. You can go to a hospital in the Bahamas and get checked out by a physician. This one will probably not be a direct pay because it's not directly coordinated by GeoBlue at that moment. So you would pay, get your receipt, and do a reimbursement. Get diagnostic testing.
Yeah, Maya.
Get your prescriptions, which most of the time in foreign countries, your prescriptions are so cheap. Just chalk that up to the game. But emergency medical evacuation to the nearest adequate facility. Mm-hmm. Remember I said that. COVID-19 treatments. Then you have access to a 24/7 global assistant coordinator, and that's who would coordinate your care if you would allow them to do so. Certain pre-existing conditions will be covered, and that's another thing that you have to be careful of with regular trip insurance. Because it is trip insurance, a lot of times they have very limited coverage for pre-existing conditions. So a medical plan for most people would be ideal because it's a medical insurance plan.
Right.
But some of the major exclusions that will not be covered with a medical plan is anything to do with your trip.
Yeah.
Because this is not trip insurance. Routine preventative care. So if you're trying to go out of the country and use this to go to the doctor, it's not going to be covered. Like this is on a basic emergency basis.
Right.
I'm ill in destination type of thing, but not I need to go over there and get my pap smear or, now they're not going to cover any of that. Extreme professional sports. It's another thing we don't think about a lot. When we got to get out here on these vacations, we be doing the most.
Yeah, we do.
We be hanging and hang gliding and parasailing. And they say, nah, dog. And basically, even the company makes you sign away your rights.
Hey, and we ain't even talk about when you fell when we was in Dunn's River Falls in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And we had trip insurance and didn't even use it.
I didn't even use it.
Didn't even use it.
I was being bullheaded and I just was like, whatever.
I actually thought you were fine.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I walked around for like almost 2 months with a broken thumb.
Yeah.
My pain tolerance is insane. In a nutshell, think about getting that. And the cost that we paid for our GeoBlue service medical for 2 people was $326 for the year.
Yeah. Which was not bad.
At all.
$2,000 covered, $326.
Boom, bam.
All right, so we are finally at the third trifecta, and this one was a recent one that the Queen just added to our protection.
Yeah, great.
To make this the trifecta, and this is the Medjet membership. We wish we had this when we were in Greece.
Yes.
Because this membership actually protects you to get you back home if you are in a foreign country or you're at a hospital that you don't want to be at. They can fly you right back home to your home hospital.
Or wherever you want to go.
Or wherever you want to go with this coverage, man.
The reason that this is so important to me is because I'm a person that I always have my ear to the streets. And have you ever been on social media, listened to the news, and you've heard of people having to do GoFundMes just to get home from having a medical instance or a medical emergency or even being evacuated off of a ship? Because the evacuation from a ship or anywhere else, remember that plug that I said, remember what I said, is most of the coverages that we spoke about before are going to get you to the nearest hospital. It's going to get you to where you can get immediate care, not necessarily where you want to be or where you need to be.
Yeah.
This right here is one of those things that you have bought membership into. And what they're going to do is, if you're in, just say you flew to Mexico and you have to go to a Mexican hospital and you hate this hospital, but it just happens to be the nearest hospital to where your incident happened. Usually once you get there, trip insurance or medical insurance is going to be like, hey, we're covering you to be here. Anywhere else you want to go,
it's on you,
it's on you.
Yep.
No, Medjet says, oh, you want to go to the hospital in Cabo instead of being in Cancun? We're gonna coordinate and get you to Cabo once you're medically stable. Now that you're in Cabo, you want to go ahead and get back home, and you still need like a medical assistant or some type of medical ambulance. They're gonna get you back to the U.S. I mean, if you've heard of these people having to do GoFundMes just to get their loved ones home, that right there, that peace of mind of saying I have choices, that is worth the price of admission to me to be into that membership. Now, this may not be for everyone. I feel that this piece of the puzzle is for those people that especially travel out of this country at least twice a year, where you feel like if something were to happen and not being able to get home is one of those things that can just like set everything back, set everything off. And what I did like is when I was reading up on it, it says, even if you have to fly home commercially, if you are still under medical care and you just want to get back to the US to finish up your medical care, they send an assistant with you that can aid you
so dope
throughout your entire flight back to whatever, back to the US. I thought that was amazing. It gives you options and choices. So for instance, if I ain't want to be where I was in
you
Greece,
want to be in that Rose Hospital, and it was different. It was, they took good care of you, but it was different looking. And we was in there like,
And if I said that I didn't want to be seen by them at all, they could coordinate with me from the ship and just fly me directly back to the U.S.
Medical respiration when hospitalized 150 plus miles from home.
Yes, that's important. So you have to be at least 150 miles away from home for this to even take place.
Transportation to the hospital of your choice. We already talked about that.
Your choice.
Yes, your choice, which is bombs to up to two air transports and memberships per year.
So that's good. So
that
you just can't be every month.
I gotta be flying. I gotta be flying out.
Like Michael Jackson said.
And I mean, at the same time, you don't want it to happen one time.
Exactly.
Right. Shoot. So then we got commercial medical escort and dedicated ambulance. So the Queen talked about that. We got transportation of mortal remains. So that's,
if you passed away,
that's up to $6,000.
That's $6,000 to get you back home.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because I'm not sure if you guys know the code on a ship when there is a death. I don't know if I want to share it with you, but look it up on Google.
We've heard it.
Also, special hospital transfers. We already talked about that. Ground ambulance transfers. We talked about that. Emergency cash advance repayment is required. And then also CAP crisis response to political unrest, disasters, and terrorism.
So if something breaks out, look, for instance, if you were in Mexico right now.
And you already know what's happening in Mexico if you've been your ears.
And you're under medical. It may not even be Hey, they said they get you up out of there. So let's talk about some of the exclusions.
Man.
This is not insurance.
But
hold on, before we get there, I want to talk about this one key part right here. Because when I was doing my research, they said they would give you an emergency cash advance if you need it. So if you're stuck somewhere and just say the hospital that you are in wants their money up front because you did not coordinate through your medical insurance where they have direct pay with them, you have to pay out your pocket. This membership says, hey, we got you.
They gonna run that money back to you.
But you gotta run this money back to me.
Yeah.
But the exclusions is not insurance. So there's not gonna be like no reimbursements of medical bills or whatever. This is a membership.
Right. So that's good to know that when you get that flight to wherever you want to go, you ain't got to pull no more money out your pocket.
Exactly.
Because with insurance, you so used to paying deductibles.
Yeah. It said you must be hospitalized as inpatient. So just visiting a hospital because you feel ill and then you want to transfer someone, that doesn't work like that. Like, this has to be a true emergency. No minor injuries or outpatient care. This is for some major skip. No scheduled treatments prior to your enrollment. No psychiatric primary transports. So if you're having a medical episode where it's more psychiatric than anything else, they said, nah, we're not going to cover that. If you did anything that was alcohol or drug inducing, they're not going to fool with you with that as well. No hospice care. So for instance, if grandma has gotten a diagnosis that she is 30 days from expiring, they're going to look at that as, you already knew that there was a risk of things happening. This membership is not going to cover if something happens and she needs to get back home. Extended stays outside of the country for more than 90 days. So for one instance, you can't be out of the country 91 days and this be covered. Because at this point, they're looking at it like, yeah, you kind of there for a minute. You kind of have taken up some type of residency for a little bit.
So let's talk about costs. Like how much this costs. So we looking at about $345 per person that you're gonna pay to get something like that.
Yeah.
But like the Queen said, if you fit those criterias, definitely consider that. And then if you need help getting a Medjet membership, once again, the Queen got you covered. The link is down in the description. She definitely help you out. So I love, we gave y'all the trifecta, man. We got travel insured to protect your money. We got Geo Blue to protect your health. And we got Medjet to get you back home, baby.
Boom. All right. Again, like I said, we are not insurance brokers. If you need specific information based on any of your specific needs or any type of clarification, once you hit that link in the description field and you get over to our website, we actually have the policies in PDF form. Pull the policies. Like I said, throw them in ChatGPT, call the 800 number, ask those questions away. Take everything that we said with a grain of salt as a disclaimer. Look the skit up for yourself and make an informed decision based off of your needs, not our needs. But also, I did want to plug this. If you are not interested in an annual insurance plan because you just say, hey, it's not worth it to me, you can always go to insuremytrip.com. Look over those policies, see what coverages they have, and just pick out one that will be a better fit for you for that individual trip. You don't have to do anything that we say. We're just telling you what we have done that has worked for us. And the fact that we have also had payouts with the annual plan.
And that's the most important part right there.
Because that's one of those things that most people be like, but does it pay out in the instance that something happens? And I can honestly say with these two, the trip insurance has paid out multiple times. And thankfully, I've only had to use the medical insurance one time. And the one time I used it, it was seamless. No issues at all.
Yeah, so I'm glad it's not like some of the casino machines that it don't pay out. This one pay out. So if you have enjoyed this video, you want to check the video on the screen, how to budget for a cruise without going broke. We're going to see you in the next video. Peace.